This man would come home every day and gently greet his family members lying on the floor.
늘 자는 거야? 아빠 안 기다리고?
At mealtimes, he insisted on having them right there beside him. His wife and 2 children have bags over their heads, yet the man eats with obvious relish. On the surface, he's just an ordinary office worker. In reality, he's an obsessive fan of the serial killer known as Mantis. The walls of his home are plastered with every piece of information on the Mantis case. Diane specifically targeted men who abused their wives and children. Her methods were brutal. She would cut off her victims' heads, then dispose of the bodies in horrifying ways. The media dubbed her Mantis, because female praying mantises eat the heads of their mates after mating. Diane's killing method closely mirrored this behavior. Now a copycat killer imitating Mantis had already claimed 2 victims. Ethan's major crimes unit discovered that the copycat had accessed confidential case files. Their investigation confirmed that only the court, the prosecution, the defense attorney, and the court-appointed psychiatrist had access to the trial records. The prosecution couldn't have leaked it. The doctor was still overseas. The judge was already dead. That left only one person who could have leaked the file, Mantis's former defense attorney. The task force rushed straight to the law firm. The attorney said the only file he'd ever lost was the one on Mantis. He mentioned one suspicious visitor, a man named Marcus, a former orphanage kid the attorney used to sponsor. The file had gone missing right after Marcus's visit. To catch Marcus, Ethan and his team staked out his house that night. Marcus was as alert as an insect. The moment he reached his front door, he sensed something was wrong. A few unfamiliar cars had shown up nearby. He immediately tried to make a run for it. Ethan rushed over and yanked open his car door, trying to grab him, but Marcus still managed to slip away. The unit stormed into Marcus's house and searched it. They quickly found the trial records on the Mantis case. Marcus had also been collecting personal information on the entire task force, including Ethan's file. They discovered he'd neatly pinned up details on all 5 of Mantis's murders inside a cabinet. There was medication in the house he hadn't been taking, and a 3D printer, along with a fully assembled printed handgun. In another room, Ethan found letters exchanged between Marcus and Diane, letters that Diane had supposedly mailed from prison. In that instant, Ethan was convinced Diane had been lying to him all along, that she was the one directing Marcus to kill. Without thinking twice, he headed straight for the prison to confront her.
왜 그랬습니까? 왜 사람 죽이고 싶어서 안달난 서구안을 꼬드겼습니까? 5명이나 죽인 걸로는 성에 안 찼어요? 대답해! 당신 있었잖아. 너도 나처럼 될 수 있다고. 사람 죽이는 거!
그런 놈한테 답장 같은 거 쓴 적 없다.
Diane tossed the stack of letters aside. She asked if he could actually prove she'd written them. Was this really the best the police could do? Only then did Ethan realize he'd never even verified the handwriting. Diane stayed completely calm. She said she was just teaching her son a lesson. He was failing at his job as a detective. Meanwhile, Marcus, having just escaped, wore an easy smile. He returned to his other family, smiling as he greeted the people lying on the floor. The next morning, he sat down to breakfast with them. The hooded woman flinched. Marcus barely noticed he was used to it by now. Police issued a nationwide manhunt. Ethan's team analyzed the letters supposedly sent from Diane to Marcus, and found the handwriting was completely different from her original signed confession. The letters were also full of misspellings. It turned out Marcus had written those replies himself. He'd imagined that Diane supported him. Marcus suffered from delusions and auditory hallucinations. He hadn't taken his medication in over a month, and that timeline lined up exactly with the first murder. Police cracked open Marcus's computer. They found he'd photoshopped his own face into other families' portraits, using a license plate visible in one photo. They pinpointed a location. At that very moment, Marcus was inside that family's home, forcing the woman and her child to tear up their old photographs. He was living out a fantasy of being someone else's husband and father, but the child sobbed, begging for his real father to come back. Marcus dragged the little boy toward the bathroom to discipline him. That's when the task force burst in. Right on time, Marcus was finally caught. They learned Marcus had a half-brother, Tyler. From his mother's second marriage, Marcus had been abandoned by his mother right after birth. She remarried and had Tyler. Marcus believed his brother had stolen the happy life that should have been his. That's why he kept forcing his way into other people's families. And most alarming of all, Tyler was now missing. During questioning, Marcus said that if his brother had never been born, his mother would have come back for him. His brother had taken everything from him. Ethan asked what his mother was like, but Marcus wanted to trade information for details on the Mantis case from Diane instead. They had no choice but to bring Marcus in to see her.
사막이 광신도잖아. 그 여자 앞에선 입을 열 거야.
But at this moment, Ethan didn't want to rely on Diane anymore. They couldn't let the rest of the task force know the truth. Every clue Diane came up with was something Ethan had to pretend he found himself. It made him feel like he was failing as a cop. That's when Robert told Ethan about Diane's final condition from back then. It was that none of her actions could ever affect Ethan. No one could ever know that Ethan was her son. She had made Robert change his name and last name at the time, which is why he's now Ethan. She also wanted to watch Ethan grow up with her own eyes. Suddenly, All the hatred Ethan had carried for 23 years had nowhere to go. Soon, Marcus was brought in to see Diane. Meeting his idol for the first time, Marcus was overcome with excitement. He told her he'd tried his best to copy her exactly. Diane asked him what it felt like to kill someone. Marcus's answer was rambling and hollow. Diane caught the gap immediately. She pressed him for details, step by step, details only someone who had actually killed would know. Marcus couldn't answer a single one. Diane concluded that Marcus had never actually killed anyone.
거짓말이구나. 너 아무도 못 죽였지.
아니에요.
Flustered, Marcus blurted out that he'd killed Tyler. Diane laughed in his face. In that moment, she acted more like a real detective than any of the actual cops in the room. She deliberately provoked him, telling him he was such a coward that it was no wonder his own mother had abandoned him. Marcus lost control and grabbed Diane by the collar. He threatened to expose everything, including the fact that Ethan was her son. And he even brought up Ethan's wife, Rachel, by name. Diane exploded with rage instantly. She grabbed Marcus by the tie and slammed his head into the bars, because she genuinely had no idea who Rachel even was. Anyone who threatened her son, she was prepared to eliminate completely. Ethan and Robert arrived just in time to pull Marcus to safety. Diane said coldly that he needed to die right now. He knew too much.